conducted in a hybrid manner in accordance with Mass General Law. All votes will be taken by roll call. It will be recorded for anybody who's tuning in or who might be in the room. Yours an audio visual recording. I'm going to start off with a roll call. Tom Morelli, chair, taking part remotely.
Carl Hummel.
Karen Reed.
Joanne Lamothe.
I'm the member.
And Karen.
Yep, Karen Reed.
Thank you. So first things first, do we want to approve the last meeting's minutes? Has everyone had the chance to look over them?
I wrote them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you approve of them.
I moved that we accept the minutes as written.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor? Say aye and your name.
Carl Hummel, aye.
Karen Reed, aye.
Joanne Lamothe, aye.
Thank you.
Who seconded that?
I think it was,
Okay.
all right. So moving on, we have Chief Kersey here with us. Thank you for coming.
No problem.
There's a few things we want your opinions on. First thing is the noise ordinance. If I believe last time we left off with you, you were going to do some research and look at some other towns.
Yep, so I did. I've compiled quite a few of them. I haven't written anything yet. I started looking at them because they're all distinctly different. What they enforce, what they deal with, how much the citations are that are associated with it. I think we're at the point now in general, and maybe even you are with some of your other bylaws, where we go to the board and tell them we've compiled this and what's their direction on it. Because I know when I watched one of the select board meetings when your board was there and you started going over some of them, you guys went back and forth with that board. And it seemed like the collaboration wasn't there to be on the same page with some of the things you were doing. So I'd hate to see, like even with this one, I'm gonna put a lot of work into it and I'll probably talk to town council, but I don't want to talk to town council 3 times about it.
No.
I think if we go to the board and say, hey, look, I have it compiled, I'm ready to write it for you and you guys can edit it any way you want. So at least you have the expertise for me to do it. But let's see, like, what do they want and not want? I don't want to go down the path of let's have noise monitors when they're like, we're not doing that, we're never going to buy that.
Right. So let's try and define what the scope is. The easiest one is hours. Do you have an opinion on what hours the noise ordinance should be enforced? Like no loud noises after X PM or before Y PM. Do you have any AM?
They're everywhere. So that's why I would actually probably try to leave it up either to your committee or the board to try to determine those hours. And because I'm even hearing that some members don't even want a noise ordinance. So that's
too bad, because I'm going to bring it. There are enough angry citizens that we're going to get a citizens petition if the select board votes down presenting something, and then we have a lot less control over it.
Yeah, well, you have ultimate control. You can vote on it. The whole town has
town meeting does, but I'd rather the town meeting get a warrant article that is our bylaw rather than something that the citizen petition brings.
But along with it, you want to be in partnership, because how do we enforce it then?
Right.
Because right now we haven't even accepted the Mass General Law for me to enforce.
Yes.
So I can't even write a citation if you enact one. It's just don't be noisy, but I can't do anything about it.
So the
Chief,
existing.
so we're looking into this and ostensibly drafting this at the direction of the select board.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, like, what are your concerns in terms of, like, what specific directions are you looking for from the select board?
So actually, I'm looking at it from you and the select board, because I'm the branch that enforces the laws. I shouldn't also be writing them. So my branch is really enforce what you guys do. But if I write it and then enforce it, I'm almost creating like a dictatorship in Mendon, which we don't want.
Yeah, that's understandable. But
then we can phrase it that we're writing it, but you're providing input for it. So
Yeah.
I will stick a stake in the ground and say 7 a.m., 8 p.m. Do those in line with other
Or
communities?
what? No.
Well, let's, now we go on to the second one.
Yeah.
The next thing I've seen is that some towns have fixed decibel levels and other towns have X decibels above ambient noise. Which of those do you think would be easier to enforce? And which one would you be more comfortable enforcing, given the rural nature of Mendon community?
So one, it's where you, so the ambient noise is going to be, it's going to have to be from like the complainant's actual house. Like we can't go measure on someone else's property.
Right, I agree that, okay, we'll go to that one.
Yeah.
One of the questions is, where do you measure it from? Do you measure it from the property line, or do you measure it from the door window if the person is complaining? And I can make a compelling argument at town meeting that because of our 3-acre lot minimum, we want to have people measuring at the complainant's door. So we don't want to have police officers in the middle of the night
No.
traipsing out to the property line.
Yeah.
So I think we can say pretty clearly that it'll be the threshold where the noise gets measured. So given that, what do you think about ambient versus absolute?
See, the tough thing about noise complaints, if we measure them, most noise complaints we go to, if you actually measure it from the doorstep, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's just more of an annoyance. There's not really anything measurable that you're gonna get there. It's just more of an annoyance. We don't deal with a whole lot of circumstances where, I mean, because I've been doing this for 30 years, where it's once a year we deal with where it really would be an issue that we need to address. Where someone's on a Sunday is building a house, you know, a commercial house, you know, they're doing commercially, they're not doing it on their own, they're not doing a project, because we got to make sure we don't intertwine with other people in Mendon who we're also supposed to be looking out for their benefit. You know, there are people who, you know, have side projects that they can only do on weekends because they work Monday through Friday, and they're going to be using hammers and nails and nail guns and roof guns because they're doing stuff themselves. Or there are people, Mendon is a town where everybody seems to have a wood stove. And if they're cutting wood outside and using a splitter, we got to be careful that, you know, I guess we tell them not to start till 7 a.m. And I guess once in the fall, you're dealing with that. It's not that big of a deal because it's dark anyways. But how do you want to measure that? What if someone starts at 6 o'clock, you know?
Like people mowing their lawns. What are you gonna do? Somebody gets up at 7:15 and mows their lawn. He doesn't want to have to be
It's a
running.
commercial mower that they use.
Right.
Yeah,
This
you
is
know.
where we say 7 a.m., 8 p.m. People can do their projects on the weekend in between those two times. One of the things that is complaints I've heard from citizens was related to the pile driving that Kevin Meehan was doing across from the lake. And he was going there for months on end, morning, noon, and night, and it was echoing across the lake. And so that's where a lot of people said, what do you mean you can't get him to stop making that loud noise at 7 a.m.?
Mhm.
So this is where we would want to have the ability to have a measurement and say, no, don't do this before 7 a.m. Or maybe the town meeting people put that to 8 a.m. But I would want to walk in with the select board saying 7 a.m. because that's in line with the state and our peer towns. So it may be that we pass a noise ordinance and people get sadly disappointed when an officer shows up with a meter and says, nope, it's, you know, annoying, but it doesn't meet the threshold of whatever we come up with. And that's where we would want to come up with absolute versus above ambient.
And then we got to figure out enforcement too. So, I mean, you got to consider during the day, it's myself and 2 officers on, and we're going to calls and accidents.
Mhm.
So now you're putting on more responsibility for police to go to residents with a meter. And at the same time, you have residents who want us on their street enforcing radar because cars are speeding. So now it's really dividing our attention and I don't know, it comes to the point where I start saying I need 3 officers on because I can't enforce traffic on all the roads that you want me to enforce them on, answer all the calls we have to do, and do all our paperwork and administrative duties that we have to do.
And that, and there's an argument you may be at a meeting in 2 years where you say, we got called out on 3 noise complaints a month, and I need an officer to,
And we do, we get called out on it now, but we don't have
yes,
paperwork to go along with it. This is gonna create more paperwork for us.
yeah, because half of policing is documenting what you actually did in the field. So,
So then we also should establish with it too, going on the paperwork is, Jeremy's gonna talk to you about, we need to adopt a certain Mass General law to be able to sign fines, and it's not just this, it goes with the building department and other departments that we haven't accepted, so we can actually sign fines to it.
Yep.
Your committee should decide what you want the fines to be. I can give you the data from the other towns, I'll
Yes.
provide that to you, what they do for, civil citations, because it's gonna be a civil
yeah, and,
citation.
and we're going to turn around with the select board and say, what group of people do you want to come up with fines? My favorite is, it was a fine that was set in 1960 of $10.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, maybe we should bump that up.
Well, our parking tickets, I think, are like $10, and some people who park in the school go, you know what, it's cheaper than parking at Fenway, I'll take the ticket and
Yeah.
watch my kid play football, and I'll pay it every week, you know, because.
Yes, and so that is an issue we're constantly saying as we're going through the bylaws, that at some point we move, for example, the dog ordinance that we might review tonight, explicitly fines got taken out of that ordinance and given into control of the select board regulations. We may come up with something there, and then you don't need town meeting to raise them up. It can be done through a public hearing at the select board.
Well, then there's gonna be a design for appeal process, because just so we issue a citation doesn't mean it's someone
Well-
should has a right to appeal. So I don't know if you deal with the town clerk, that maybe starts going through their office, or you have a hearings officer.
How does it work for dogs, animal control, or for other complaints that are in the bylaws?
I know the marijuana ones, used to go, and the parking tickets go to Ellen, town clerk, and she's the hearing officer for it.
Okay,
And then
so,
after that, they can go actually to Milford District and actually file something there, and then it drags us into.
okay, so does the town clerk currently do parking tickets?
Yes,
Okay, so then we'll say, as our stake in the ground, town clerk gets noise appeals as well, and we'll see if anyone on the select board wants to change that.
Sure.
So back to the question of absolute decibel level or above ambient. The advantage of absolute decibel level is it's a hard number. The advantage of above ambient is that you can now say ambient during the week is different from ambient on the weekend. The goal is to strike a balance between not leaving it totally subjective for the officer on the scene,
yeah, I don't
But
want
also-
to leave it subjective, that's the problem.
but also the ability for the officer to say, oh, 51, you're above, you get a ticket, as opposed to above ambient, which gives a little bit more flexibility.
I haven't done any research on equipment, how much does equipment
You're right.
cost?
I was just gonna ask that. And I wasn't over to equipment.
Yeah, because who's gonna fund that?
One of the things, I have had this conversation with both Jason and Jeremy,
Mhm.
and they have both said that they do not want a warrant article for noise equipment, that instead that would get folded in the police department budget.
That's
So-
not how my budget works.
Okay.
My budget is a almost zero-based budget every year. that
Okay.
I give a
Then-
budget.
One of the other hats I'm wearing is I just got appointed to the finance committee, so I will make sure that somewhere in the town budget for next year, when we started, we would enforce this as soon as the attorney general approves them. I guess that's the way it works. So we will make sure that at that point, there is money in the budget and there's been a procurement process for whatever equipment.
Yeah, and that would be a capital expense. So it wouldn't be in my budget, it could be a capital expense. It's a one-time expenditure. So my budget is operational. I control operational, where every year it's recurring expenses.
Okay, so we will raise that as an issue for the select board to take note of.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and pin you down again.
Yeah, I
It'd
just,
be
but you know
interesting.
what? I see that's the thing. I hate being pinned down with that, because it's, whatever you do, you guys should come up with it and make it that it isn't subjective. I don't want an officer going there and two officers going to the same call, you know, on different days and coming up with a different.
Well,
outcome.
and this is
So-
where I said ambient on the weekend may be different from ambient on the week, during the week, especially if someone is next to Route 16 or North Avenue, because ambient will reflect traffic noises.
So how do you set the level for ambient?
I don't know. That's where we have to go and look and see how the other communities that do ambient-based things are doing that. So all of the things that you.
Well, most of the ones they seem very subjective. That's why the more research I started doing, the less I like.
Do you mind if I'm gonna interject for a second. It sounds like to me is that we do have quite a bit of research that needs to be done before we can present something to the select board. And so this is probably going to be something that's going to happen at the annual.
Yeah, I would say so.
Is that what I'm hearing?
That'd be the smart thing to do.
Because if we need to do research on ambient, and how other towns do it, before we present something to the select board, it sounds like, we can't. We don't want to just jump the gun and give them something without really defining what these terms mean. And
Well, the other thing that the select board will want is the cost of the equipment. So is that something that you would, I know that for radar guns, you have to have special certified equipment and breathalyzers, you need special certified.
I'll see if any of the towns have this equipment to do that. Most of the chiefs I've talked to, unfortunately, they have these on the books. Be able to use them. They just go there and say, quiet down, I'm gonna give you a citation. Usually it works.
And I expect that that's the way
Yeah,
it will work here.
usually it works.
What I've seen both with beach sand on the lake, what I'm seeing with people cutting trees in the wetlands. Once we tell people you're not allowed to do that in Mendon anymore, this is the 21st century, they start paying attention. If we pass at town meeting a bylaw and say, now when the police show up at your door, they can really, do a lot more than they did before. That may encourage drunk people to not make as much noise.
Yeah.
And for those rare commercial applications like the Cape Road project, the warehouse project, or blasting and pile driving, it'll be well known by the.
Yeah, those are pretty easy. You define commercial, that's pretty easy. I have no problem in defining commercial at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say 8 p.m.
Dusk.
Yeah, it's dawn to dusk, and it may change, so dawn to dusk. And some say like, a half hour after dawn, half hour before dusk, and for any commercial, properties, there's no work. I'd rather see that because they should operate within the restrictions. They shouldn't be out there at 9 o'clock at night in the winter with a jackhammer for a commercial purpose. That's not there. Those aren't the people that pay taxes in this town that are our neighbors that are trying to do something in your yard. That's someone running a business.
And if they're making a rush order and they're working 24/7, they can talk to the select board about.
Get special exemption from the board.
And maybe they need additional
So
traffic.
it's commercial, I'm on board.
Yeah.
What I have a hard time sometimes is with the residents, because we all live in town. These are our neighbors we're dealing with. And we want to try to be neighborly to all of them, no matter where they are.
So the other bylaws you've looked at it, they had separate sections for commercial noise versus party noise.
I didn't get that deep into, so I pulled up, I have like 5 of them. I'll email them to you guys.
Okay.
right.
Okay, so I think those are all of the things that I would think about on the noise ordinance. Does anyone else have questions for Chief Kersey before we move on to the next set of questions for him?
I'm thinking drive-in. Are you planning on, is that going to be a decibel thing? Because that's.
Well, the ambient for the drive-in is when the drive-in is playing.
Well, I can tell you, I live on Crestview Drive, and when they run Taylor Swift or any of the, I can hear it clear as day at my house. So you come to my house, like he shows up at my house, it's gonna be like, well, you can't tell him to shut it down because it's commercial and, what are you gonna go over there and say?
Their hours are authorized to do it during those times.
Times too, so that's it.
So they're not like a commercial builder
Yeah,
where they have dictated times.
So-
They're a regular business that is licensed to operate during
Right.
those times. So I think whenever you have someone that's operating within their license, you can't really enforce it, whether it's the end zone or the fine line now
right,
or.
right, but
So I think when they issue their hours of operation through the board, yearly in January, that's where those restrictions have to be put
Okay.
on.
Yeah, because,
I mean, this is where I'd be very interested in. This is where I'd be very interested in seeing how other towns define ambient. Because Carl, to your
Okay.
point, like if the drive-in ambience is the noise from the drive-in running, then I mean, couldn't every business argue that their noise they're making in the course of their businesses be ambient?
And I would say for a lot of businesses, yes. For pile driving in at 7 a.m. or 6:30, no. Or dropping off one of the complaints that we had on the Uxbridge Road property was there was a loud bang at 6 a.m. because somebody dropped something when they were making a delivery and it boomed all the way across the lake. And then they did that 2 more times 10 minutes later and interrupting people's sleep. That's the kind of commercial activity that's happening too early. The other question that someone raised is, well, what about the 4th of July parade or Memorial Day when the fire trucks are going down wailing their sirens? That's a noise violation, isn't it? And so there'd have to be something about permitting parades and stuff.
People are gonna test no matter what you do.
oh yeah, it's gonna get,
And the
it can get
world
ugly
of it
real
today.
quick.
And that's why we're here as a committee to tie down those loose ends.
Well, yeah, and I would think that as part of an authorized permit like this could be part of it.
Yeah.
Getting
And the-
rid
and
of bylaw.
4th of July fireworks. So basically, if it's a municipal celebration, it's not subject to the noise ordinance.
Well, I would say if you have,
Yeah.
if you
What about like
get,
roosters? What do we do with like roosters and animals?
We
well,
already
that
have-
was going to be my next point was the farm, right? The farm bylaw, is still in effect. I would think that machinery and farm animals would be covered by this, by the right to
Yeah, we
farm.
don't have
bylaw.
anything loose right now, Carl, right, for roosters? That got shot down when the guy came dressed as a rooster to the annual town meeting.
Okay, I missed that one.
Yeah. You guys-
Remember that, Tom?
Oh,
Mendon
I
is a-
sure do.
Mendon is a right to farm town,
Yeah.
so we do
Right.
allow noises. And the expectation is you're living next to a farm, suck it up, Buttercup.
But anybody
Yeah,
now
so
have,
I guess my question is though, like, what supersedes what? Does the right to farm supersede this noise ordinance, or does the noise ordinance supersede the right to farm?
Right to farm wins.
yeah,
And the dog barking is already covered in the dog bylaw, which we may review later today.
Right. So I guess
But why does it win?
Because that's what we'd say in the noise ordinance.
Oh, okay.
We would have, the town council would write the language to say, this noise ordinance does not supersede other bylaw ordinances that talk about noise, like, or whatever the language is, so that it would explicitly exclude the dog barking. If we came up with a right to farm rooster noise thing, it wouldn't supersede that one. Same way we would say, if you get a license from the select board to make noise at the drive-in, the noise ordinance doesn't cover you.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's defined by ordinance, not by just saying we have two and
Right.
one supersedes the other.
Since this one's getting written second, it's responsible for making sure it doesn't
Okay.
lead to a inconsistency. Anything else about noise? So the next thing, Tom, was that you wanted to talk about weed next?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so can you make a statement?
What was that?
Say what's the question we want to get his input for?
So I guess let me get my notes. The agenda's having trouble loading on my phone right now.
Well, the actual agenda just says we're gonna talk to him about things. It doesn't
Well,
list.
no, I'm
this-
trying to get to the open actions list.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't get to it in here easily.
Yeah, which I believe.
You know, I didn't look at yet either, Carl, is where I should, some of these noise ordinances are older. And some towns never used to send them to the Attorney General, so they have bylaws and ordinances that the legality of them are in dispute.
No,
Yeah, every town didn't do that before.
I can't. I'm having trouble loading the document. Second.
You guys are welcome to use this for your email if you want. Or you do most of yours online.
We would do ours online, and we usually do it weeks when the select board isn't meeting.
Gotcha. But you
Yeah,
need-
it's just things got a little crazy because of
You never in this room exist.
yeah, I find it nicer meeting in person. You get more done and
yeah,
you don't have, when you're on Zoom, you always have something in the background bothering you, no matter where you are.
I agree.
Your kids come in and talk to you, your husband comes in and talks to you.
All right, then. I was working online pretty steadily from 2016 to when I got retired in 2024, so I'm used to it.
I work remotely too, but I still don't like it. I'm like,
Yeah.
just leave me alone.
I thought the other thing we wanted to talk to him about was the enforcement
The enforcement of the noise ordinance.
or the fee structure.
So I think that I'll give those to what other towns are doing, but I think Germany's trying to develop a fee structure in general for the whole town for everything to try to update it. So that'd probably be something your committee and myself will all work with them to, find something that's updated. We don't want to adopt, just because we have some other towns that's like $50. Well, maybe that's not the going rate. Maybe it should be 100. We need to adjust it based on what we think today's rate should be.
And then the other piece of it was the traffic enforcement.
Right. Should parking tickets, you just said $10 is
Probably not
a slap on the
These
wrist.
days,
Yeah,
I know some-
that's what I thought. I'm not recalling what we wanted to talk to him about with marijuana.
Oh, okay.
Give me one second.
Marijuana is legal now, so we don't do too much with it.
Right.
Now that. Yeah.
But
Everything's
that's
legal. I guess open container, if you have an open container of it, anybody we can do that
I
criminal too.
don't recall what we were talking to him about with that.
Okay.
I don't. But so I think
Now we buy marijuana in Mendon's, we try not to do too much with it.
Is there just one of them? Or is there a second one down by?
I hope there's two, there's one,
Yeah,
one
that's,
by the fine line, so you can.
Yeah.
Go see a show and have some pot,
we have our
and then
very,
one by George's, so you can get your munchies and have some pot.
we have our very own combat zone now.
Yeah, you get everything you want, everything you ever want for. They put them in perfect places.
Fine lines is fun. I had someone call me up and saying, they've got that sign saying, the little sign, isn't that illegal? And I said, no, it's small enough that the sign ordinance doesn't apply. They get to do that. It's not a billboard on somebody else's property. It's not glowing. You just have to suck it up.
They've been good neighbors, they haven't been obnoxious, we haven't had any
Yeah.
problems down there. I almost tell people that's part of Hopedale, go see town.
don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that.
Hey, Tom, does, I didn't check Hopedale out, do they have a noise ordinance?
I'm not sure. That's not my realm.
All right, because I don't usually, I just don't see the Hopedale offices that much, in my
Yeah.
circle. I never followed up with them, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not sure.
Do they still have a town hall?
For now,
You guys are
We
moving,
just-
I heard.
we just bought a new one.
You bought one, or I think like a lease next to the police station?
Oh, they brought those.
Well, no, we bought a condo unit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We bought, so the old the doctor's office next in that place you just mentioned?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's the doctor's office.
so where's the doctor going?
The doctor's done. He's retiring. Not Dr. Audi, the other one, Gelman.
Oh, okay, I thought it was Dr. Audi. I was gonna say, where's Audi going?
Yeah, it's Dr. Gelman.
That's my new
He's
doctor.
taking his entire upstairs and downstairs unit.
Something else.
Yeah, so that's the new Hopedale Town Hall starting in October. And
So
we're
I'll-
selling the current town hall.
But I really think I should take it and just use it as a reference, but like just build a room, you know what I mean? Completely build a room. If we want to take little pieces of all of them and build it, but if there's certain criteria, like now I know your times, Carl. So I can start establishing one for us based on times, commercial.
The way I would go to the select board is say, we recommend either 7 AM to 8 PM or more subjectively, dawn to dusk.
Yeah.
And it may be that dawn to dusk is commercial, 7 AM to 8 PM is residential.
I like the dawn to dusk just because the hours change around here so much, you know, in the summer. You should be able to do something till 8:30 at night because it's still daylight. The sun, and it's subjective to a point, but you can go on the weather app and that's going to tell you the exact time dusk and dawn are.
There's dusk and dawn, and then civil is another half hour after that. which is
Exactly.
Exactly what you were talking.
Yeah, so even though it's subjective, we could put, you know, defined in a, you know, by the national weather standards, what dusk and dawn are. So there's no subjectiveness to that when we write the time on the ticket.
I go to sunrisesunset.com, and it has a
Yeah.
nice calendar with when.
Yeah, and it'd be great to define it, put, even if it's that site, and our guys would do that. They would go to, you know, or officers, I should say, this is guys and girls. But yeah, we could easily do that, but I do like the idea of maybe, you know, going not with an exact time, you know. Because again, you know, once we get December, you know, 6 o'clock at night,
It's pretty dark.
it's pretty dark. And, you know, your mentality changes too. Like 6 o'clock right now, I'd probably be out cutting wood. 6 o'clock in the winter, I'm probably coming home from work and eating dinner and thinking about bed. You know, it changes, your mentality changes. So.
Yeah, so I think what it sounds like is we need to let the select board know that we, like, upon doing our research, it seems like many towns, like, there's no one size fits all
No.
kind of approach to this, and we want to take a much more intentional approach.
So what I will volunteer to do is you'll mail us the ones that you've collected, and I will go through and make up I'm not going to do PowerPoint, but I'll do something equivalent where I'll say, here are the options for times. Here's the options for commercial versus residential. Here's what we want to say about not infringing on existing bylaws and stuff. And then the select board will feel empowered to say what they want to do about the hours and what they feel it should be about ambient versus absolute, and threshold versus property line.
So Jason's your liaison?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's also chair. Even though he's chair, he's not going to stop.
Because it'd be nice to get someone on the committee like we did with the building, the senior building committee. We actually had a member of the select board on it. So you kept that open line of communication on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And kept us all going pretty steadily.
Yeah, what I'll do is after I do that write-up, I'll work with Jason and Tom, and we will come up with a way to make a presentation to the select board where we can say, here's our information, and then we get specific answers, and then we get our marching orders and go off and work with you on crafting
Perfect.
language.
Perfect.
And at that point, we go to town council.
So,
That sounds good. And I also, I just, like, it was my impression that before we went in front of town meeting, the town council reviewed everything. But I guess, as we saw from last time, that they just kind of took the stuff we put forward and didn't submit it to town council. So I don't know if perhaps we should go to town council ahead of bringing it to select board, or if they're going to bring it to town council after we submit it to select board, but that's a question for them.
So my timeline is you send us stuff. I come up with I work with Tom and Jason on coming up with presentation. We meet with select board. And then we tell select board, what I want to do now is write something up and then give it to town council. Or do you want to have me write something up and you look at it and then go to town council and let them decide?
let Jeremy decide when wants to do it.
It's a question of whether the select board trusts us to follow their guidance sufficiently that it can go straight to the lawyer instead of going back, so they can make sure that we did what they told us to do.
Yeah, well, I would all have town council stuff already go through Jeremy, so once we get to the point where we think it's
Right.
ready, is there any, give the Jeremy, he can review it quick before he sends it off to them.
Yeah,
You know.
we'll find out how much town administrator wants to get involved in the whole process as well. So anything else
What else we got?
for Chief Kersey?
Any speeding complaints? Tom, how's your street?
I've got nothing.
Can we put speed bumps on Neck Hill Road?
We just paved it.
I know.
They just
right?
made it a racetrack. Why would we want the speed
I
bumps?
have a question. You know, like at the end there, when you're coming to George Street and there's Neck Hill Road, is there any way to like curve that? Because people do not stop at that
What, the
sign.
intersection?
Yeah, that's,
You'd have to talk to John about that.
all right.
Can't redo roads.
Oh my God, that road is
See, we're a
horrible.
catch-all. Police are a catch-all.
Okay.
We almost got hit the other day twice in 2 days. They don't stop
We
there.
help the best we can.
I know you do.
Everybody goes to us, but we'll get you to the right place to fix it.
Here's
I'll
a
go
speeding-
talk to him.
here's a speeding question my wife is spitting bricks about. This is the signage at the middle school. They have the light blinking that says slow down 20 miles per hour, even when it's not school time. Is that Mendon or is that the school district?
I think that's a school who controls that one.
I figured she's gonna send a mail message to both
Our
our,
school's not in session, it's a 40.
I agree, but the problem is that the sign
I know, like,
blinks.
I came back from flag football, I coached flag football
Yeah,
last
so
night
you're seeing.
at
that
8
as well.
o'clock and it was telling me too fast.
Exactly.
Like, I'm doing the speed.
So-
Because anything at 40, it says too fast.
So Mendon Police does not,
We don't go by the signs, we know the laws, so
Okay.
we're not gonna write you a bad ticket.
right, but what I'm saying is you don't control that particular
No.
pole. So that's the school district.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will try and find out the right person at the
It's
school
either
district.
school or the building department for our town, so it's one of the two. I can talk to the superintendent tomorrow, right? figure out
Okay,
who's-
well, my wife, when she comes up for air this weekend, will be writing an email to the chair of the MRSD as well as some town
Yeah,
officials,
yeah.
saying, fix the pole.
Yeah, probably send it to MSRD in Germany. They'll
Yeah.
let it is together collectively and they can fix it. It's been a school year, so I'm sure they just, that's a newer sign too, right? That wasn't around last year.
No, and she's coming home at 9 PM and it's telling her, slow down, you're going too fast.
Oh, I get that all the time coming back from Northborough. What else you got?
That's it.
Good.
I've got nothing else for you, Chief.
All right, I'm board meeting now, I got some appointments to do and I'll get with you the next day or two, send it all to you, and then you want, I'm working, taking the next 2 days off, the next day and a half off. But after I send it to you for next week, one day you want to talk about anything,
Okay,
you can call me anytime, I'm always around,
okay,
so
yeah,
I think you're all right.
I can find it from
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, just give me a call if you want to go over anything.
Okay,
So I don't want, and as we go along with it too, if you're the liaison to do that, I don't mind sitting with you, come in the office, we'll go through it and start writing it too.
okay.
Well, I'm happy to help. All right,
Have a
we'll
good.
see you later.
Thank you.
I'll be back anyways, first thing when I come back.
Okay.
See you. All right, so let's move on to our review, ongoing review. The next section there, and then after that, we can discuss, what we want to, start compiling for the select board for the November meeting, with the idea that we can have some proposals ready by the end of the month.
Okay. Unfortunately, I put notes, but unfortunately I can't get notes from my tablet here because I copied it to the wrong place, but looking at section 7.1, the purpose. Mass chapter 140, sections 137, 174E talk about dogs. And then 174B and C talk about cats. Our bylaw says domesticated animals. And so I think we should not have domesticated animals and it should just be dogs because that's what it is. And as we just heard, this isn't doing anything at all about roosters,
Right.
farm animals. So I was,
Cows, pigs, or anything else.
so that was my comment about section 7.1. And then the other part is funds. Fees were removed from the bylaw and placed under the jurisdiction of the select board, but section 7.1 talks about the establishment of fines. Note that everything after the comma goes away because this bylaw is no longer establishing fines.
Right. Anybody else have any thoughts? What was that?
Oh, I was just looking at it. I didn't have a chance to read it.
Okay.
So you want to what, Carl? Get rid of?
Well, it shouldn't say domesticated animals. It
Okay,
should
right.
just say dogs. And then the other one is the last part that says, and the establishment of fines for violation of this bylaw. That's not in here anymore. That's now part of the select board jurisdiction. It's the italic part where it says fees removed from the
Okay.
bylaw.
No questions here.
Now, one of the things that's going to happen is if we actually come to town meeting with a change to this animal control bylaw, it's highly likely someone will try and make an amendment from the floor to have a leash law, which is the third rail of Mendon politics, right up there with rooster control.
Yeah. You see it all the time on Facebook, people asking, when are we gonna get leash law? or
And
something?
the answer is, as soon as you think you can get a majority of people at town meeting, good luck with that. Ha, ha, ha. But I've got 18 acres. I like being able to go off in the woods with my dog off leash. He likes being able to go off and sniff things without having to be on a leash. And as long as I've got him under control, voice control, and I've got my treats and I've got a leash, if I do need to put him on it, I'm all set.
That's right.
So I as putting on my moderator hat for a second, I would say that if the warrant article is structured in a way, that was specific, I would not allow an amendment on leash laws because that is outside the scope of the warrant article.
Good.
And I say that not because of this board, but just in general. Like we have to treat the warrant articles with specificity.
That would require someone to get 24 other citizens and come up with a citizen petition. At which point we'd reach out to them and say, can we talk to you about making sure the language fits in?
Yeah, right. I mean,
So my position is that we do not the GBRC does not recommend it. If the select board tells us to come up with one, we'll craft it, but otherwise we're not going to do a leash law thing. And if a citizen group comes up and wants a leash law, we will work with them to make sure that the language is not contradictory like some previous citizen petitions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, like, have we heard murmurings of a citizen's petition?
No, but they just pop up. Oh, my other comment on here is we should talk to the animal control officer and reach out to town clerk and see if they see anything that they believe should be updated or changed other than the fee structure.
Guess I guess, like, in terms of the citizens, just you want to go back to the citizens petition. I don't think we should be discussing a citizens petition unless we know that's something that's actually happening.
Yep, okay.
Yeah. Just because, like, there's no reason for us to think there is one.
Okay.
But your fee structure, I think, makes sense to me.
Yep. The section 10 public nuisance, that's the part that talks about a dog that is excessively barking or howling or being a public nuisance.
Does anyone else have any thoughts?
No.
No,
Um, can we put in the notes like a list of changes we suggested over the course of the meeting, like in the minutes?
I'm sorry, could you say that again, what you're asking me to
Well,
do?
could you compile, so we've just touched upon several sections and several changes that I think we all agree upon, that you pointed out, Carl, that I think we all agree upon would be good changes. In the minutes, could we note what those changes are, so that when we go
Yes.
through later to compile them,
Yes,
it's easier?
Yeah, what I do is before the meeting, I go and write up my notes. I'm doing this in person, so I can't have access and I can't copy and paste into chat what those notes were. After this meeting and in the minutes, I will post that, because what I do is I include the suggestions that other people have made, that in addition to the things that I found. So yeah, all of the stuff I said verbally, I've already written up.
Yeah, I hate for it to get lost, like just kind of lost in the.
No, they'll go in the minutes.
Perfect, thank you. So let's discuss what we feel is ready, but like anything else on this section.
No, those are the things that I remember writing up. If there's another line, then it'll be in what I send out. But basically this, the animal control bylaw closely matches all of the 74 sections of chapter 40, of chapter 140. There's sections 137 to 174. About half of them don't exist anymore, and the bylaw pretty much covers all of the things the state law covers.
So more or less, it's just like a cleanup. We don't have any like cleanup in looking at the fee structure that we've talked about before. It should be changed.
Yeah, section 9.12 says that if you violate the law, you get a ticket of $50. And is that something that should get moved to the select board as well?
There's not less than $50. That's.
So, I mean, does anyone have any thoughts?
No. So as chair, do you want to reach out to town clerk and the animal control officer and see if they have any input on this?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I mean,
Okay.
I think like the changes that you suggested and just like tightening things up, I don't see them being opposed, but like I also,
Yep.
I don't want to step on their toes, so to speak.
Yep.
So I can reach out over the course of the next week.
also the penalty has $50 written in it, and then you've got credit evaluation articles, which state specific dollar amounts to section 14.
Okay.
Like they have first offense is $10, second offense $25.
So if they remove the fees from the bylaws, maybe that's just the annual dog fee licensing fees that got moved out. So we can now do another round and see whether these get moved as well.
Yeah. See.
I can check in and
Even
see if I can see.
There's a penalty, $50.
Yeah, I can look and see what the bylaws looked like before 2019 and see what they yanked out. And that'll make more sense. So the other question is, what do we want to talk about? What bylaw review sections do we do next time?
Let's look.
I'd say 10, 11, 12, 13, because they're all short.
Does everyone think that's doable? Anyone think that's too many? I think the shorter ones.
Section 8, we skipped that.
We did that one.
Oh, all right.
Let me scroll up. 8.
We did that a while back.
Oh, okay, I wasn't here then. Okay.
No, you weren't.
Oh, that was one of the first things we did, right?
Yeah, because it was an easy one to do.
Council on Aging, you were going to reach out to the director and the chair and see if they had input.
I did not get the chance to do that. I'll do that when I reach out to the town clerk.
Okay, we'll just
Um,
add that.
Something I
your
want to
company.
do is I want to update the action items list, because the action items list we have is a little behind. So I'm gonna work to update that, just because it makes it easier to not drop the ball on things.
Okay, I'll see if
At least for me.
I have time to do that as well.
No, I mean I can go through the previous minutes and start updating it.
Okay,
You don't have to worry about it. No, I can do that.
Tom, do you want me, or Carl, do you want me to work on the Council on Aging? I could
Yeah,
talk to
if you could, that would be awesome. Just see if they have any thoughts on the Council on Aging bylaw before we start,
Yeah.
stomping on this. Before we start
Yeah.
stomping on this,
Section 12 is all fees. Every line is a fee. On sealer of weight and measure fees, they're all fees.
from 2003.
Yep, so if we're gonna go the fee route with the select board, you might want to have them look at this.
Well, we'll talk about that when we're reviewing section 12.
let's do that. Hold up. Let's So if everyone want to do which one is this one we did, 11 or 12? We did I think we did 11, right? Or 10 is Council on Aging.
8, that's 8.
8 is Council on Aging. So we have to look at, and 9 was deleted, so we're looking at 10, 11.
Oh wait,
12,
yeah.
12,
And 13.
13, okay.
13.
Okay, so 11 special provisions. So do we want to treat special provisions as its own? I mean,
As its
there's a
own.
lot there.
As its
Do we
own
want-
what?
Do we want to go through the special provisions on its own at the end?
No, we should just keep going through like they are, and because a lot of the special provisions are actual like bylaws. And we're most of the way through. They only go up to section 14.
Yeah, let's do 10. Yeah, let's do that 10, 11, 12.
And 13, because it's 12 is kind of short.
Okay, yeah, we can do. What about? Can we do 13? Can we just do through 14? Would that be too
All
much?
No, get through all of the special ones.
And then we
Agriculture,
can.
wild animal acts.
Yeah. That's a big one.
The 14 is not too long.
No,
What was your
Yeah,
question?
like we pointed out, a lot of these are fees. Well, we just want, if we want to do 10 through 14 and then just get all the special provisions out of the way,
Okay, that makes sense.
Sounds good.
let's do that. All right. Now we want is a list of things to finalize by the end of September to submit to the select board.
I'm not, unless we hear back from Jeremy on what we were asking him about, fees and officers and stuff, we really don't have anything. We have worked with Ann Mazar and they're going to be having a land use bylaw, but that bypasses us. Same way the Conservation Commission one bypassed us.
I will need to write a new motion for the even though the gender neutral one did pass the town meeting in AG scrutiny, it really doesn't do anything. So I would like to work with town council on drafting something that actually, finishes it. So we could do that, and I can have a draft for next meeting, and then for final approval, the last meeting of September. Because I think our idea is that we're meeting next Wednesday, and then we're meeting 2 Wednesdays from that, in preparation and going in front of the select board.
Okay.
Are there any, my thing is, if we reach out to town clerk and animal control officer and they agree with our changes to the animal control section, we could put those on because those are very simple changes.
Okay.
Are there anything else that pops up from our ongoing review that we think would be simple changes we could put on the warrant? I also think we're waiting to hear back from the historic as well.
Okay. Was Christine doing, is she our interface to the historical?
I think she was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll follow up with her.
Ooh.
Christina was the one for this.
Oh, okay.
The other one we raised was records retention, and
Yep.
I discussed that with Jason, and he said, I just opened up a big can of worms because that means the town has to come up with money to pay for storage if they decide that meetings are going to be considered public records. So they kicked that down the can. They kicked that can down the road.
Gotcha. So
And one of the other things we've discussed, the finance committee bylaw. As I'm saying, I gathered another hat. I've been appointed to the finance committee, and one of the things that I have been asked by the FinCom chair and Jared and Jason is to establish what the relationship between those committees is going to be. And then as a result of that, at some point next year, there may be changes to the FinCom bylaw that reflects what both of those boards want the FinCom to actually be doing.
right,
So that's long term. It's not going to happen.
Down the road a bit.
Yeah.
It sounds like. Okay. So other than that, so really what we have is
Hold on. The other one would be modifying the recent bylaw saying you can't be on Concom and ZBA and Planning Board at the same time.
right.
And if we're ready to come up, and if you think that between the select board's organization chart and the one that you came up with, if we're ready to say specifically how we want to generalize and like adding the Board of Health to that list, or what we say about library board of trustees and board of assessors being elected, if we want to have a discussion about broadening that particular bylaw or not.
I would like to, I think I would like to actually discuss the chart with the select board itself.
Okay,
Because, I think that's a more long-term, I think that's a more in-depth discussion that needs to be had. And, that might be something we'd want to do a public hearing on as well, where we've discussed doing public hearings in the past.
I think the way that would work is we meet with the select board, we recommend a public hearing, and then they tell us to go off and hold one.
Yeah, which is fine. I think that's how. I intend on bringing that up to them because they still had time for us at the beginning of October. I intend to bring that up to them then.
Okay,
So really what we're looking at is animal control, bringing the gender neutral thing back in a way that has teeth, like actually changes the bylaws, and then potentially historic. Potentially, if Jeremy has anything with the fee structure.
yep,
So let's reach out to those people that are outside this committee, see if their projects are done, and then we can bring these all for approval. Basically, bring drafts to the next meeting with a final draft. The final draft being voted on the last meeting of September, and then in October we can submit it to the select board ahead of our meeting with them.
yeah. Now, the historic commission one, I think that's another situation where they would write the warrant article and we're just helping them with the language, same as land use and Concom.
That's fine with me.
Yep.
That would be that's all I got.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Or
Nope,
are we
nope.
good to adjourn? Until next Wednesday at 6:30.
Okay, so what are we going to be discussing at next Wednesday's meeting other than the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14?
We're going to be discussing, we're going to be presenting drafts for, discussions on each of the things the status updates on each of the things we just listed. And the idea is we have a direction of the final draft being presented so that when we meet on the last meeting of September, all we're doing is approving them, like voting to approve them.
Okay, I should also be able to have something on the noise bylaw stuff.
Okay.
By coming, the equivalent of a PowerPoint slide deck.
If you think you can have something for within the next
Yeah.
couple meetings of the noise ordinance, then I'm happy to discuss that.
Yeah. The reason is I want us to take a look at it before you and I and Jason go to the full select board and say, here's what we need input on. So I'll do some incremental process work on that.
Sounds good to me.
All right, any items not anticipated 48 hours prior to the meeting?
I
Yes, no.
do not think so. I
Okay,
anticipate everything.
7:37, I move we adjourn.
A second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Tom,
Carl
aye.
Hummel.
Karen, I.
Joanne Roth, aye.
All right.
Motion
Thank
passed.
you all.
So you're gonna stop the recording?
Yep. Have a great night.
Okay, you too.